guest of honor, Mr. Anand Singhania, Tulsi Jai Kumar, our CEO of Bharti Vidya Bhavan, my colleague Yogi Sriram, faculty members, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today we are coming here together to honor and celebrate a significant milestone. It has been over a quarter of a century since SPJIMR recognized the need to create a formal postgraduate program for family-managed businesses. This indeed is a pioneering effort of India, for India, and by India. Kudos to all who have played a role in building this Center for Family Business and Entrepreneurship over the years. I'm sure for CFBE, which is a tongue twister, CFBE, what is most gratifying is witnessing the growth and success of its alumni year after year. We all know that 3/4 of India's GDP, 3/4, 75% of India's GDP comes from family-owned businesses and enterprises. Given the dominant share that family business and entrepreneurship commands in this country, India needs many more institutions modeled like CFBE. Though I have been given the honor of being the introductory speaker at Viraasat, admittedly, I'm a bit of an oddball here. Career-wise, I've always been a professional with no hands-on experience of running any family businesses. And similar was the case with my father and grandfather. Even my uncle H.D. Parekh, who was chairman of ICICI, who set up HDFC as a post-retirement venture, he was never a promoter. In fact, he only owned 10 shares of the company. The next generation is different. 2 sons have come back. They don't want to work for anyone. They want to work for themselves. And that's how the world is changing. So as a caveat, I just wanted to declare that I'm unqualified for the task of starting off today's program. But I have immense admiration for those who run their own enterprises. I never had the courage to do anything my own. So I was always a salaried employee. Over my 55 years of work life, I've had the opportunity to interact and observe at close quarters several family businesses, the large ones as well as the small ones, the winners that evolved and the losers that dissolved. I have known business families that have managed to stay extremely close-knit for generations, though they are now very few far in between. I have on few occasions played the role of a boxing referee, physically unscrambling warring business families. In hindsight, I was fortunate that I did not get some blows myself. Playing the peacemaker as an outsider in a conflicted family business can sometimes win you accolades, but can also earn you a ton of brickbats. One side is always unhappy of the decision you take as an arbitrator, and I have been an arbitrator in a number of family cases. One often hears that the old generation's view was that the new generation wants too much too soon, while the new generation complains that the old generation is past their prime but still remains reluctant to relinquish the reins. So managing work-life balance in family-owned businesses is also a very tough task. Can you ever get away from your boss, at office and at home? All these are common problems because it's just a reflection of human nature. But there is no taking away of the fact that there are several examples of immensely successful family businesses. I'm not just referring to large Indian businesses, but also that make headlines, but several mid and small size family enterprises that are run extremely efficiently. To my mind, the most significant change seen in family business today has been investment in education of the next generation. This is the single most observation I have. Education in the next generation has been phenomenal. This is the single biggest game changer. Better education has helped bring in scale, bring in vision, professionalism, and diversification in businesses. Armed with better education, there is a deeper understanding of the changing market realities, which helps family businesses stay relevant. And this is where institutions like SPJIMR have played a stellar role. It is amazing to see the transformation that quality education brings to business enterprises. I meet many young leaders of family-owned enterprises who are so confident and focused in what they want to achieve, but more importantly, they are aware that they have to earn their spurs. The harder decision in family-owned businesses is the ability to honestly address issues or gaps in the company. What are the gaps in the companies they run? And to admit it, honestly discuss it. The million-dollar question is, when should family make way for non-family professionals? Another critical issue is that seniority in age or patriarchy should never be mixed up with leadership. Having a strong, diverse, and inclusive board without conflicts of interest helps family-owned businesses to navigate through sensitive times and take tough decisions. Also, it is important to prioritize what is good for the company over what is good for yourself. This is easier said than done, yet long-term survival means being alert to changing realities, inculcating right governance practices, and having a succession plan in place. Those that truly believe in corporate governance and its benefits are the ones that succeed over the long run. It is quite right when they say that well-run family businesses think in generations and not in quarters, as we in the corporate world think from quarter to quarter. Short-termism has often been the downfall of many, many organizations. Over the years, the corporate landscape in India has changed dramatically, and fortunately for the better. To reflect upon significant changes, about 15 years ago, I had at a public forum stated that as far as Indian corporates and their boards are concerned, there were 4 kinds of animals in the Indian corporate jungle, each with their own distinct characteristic. The first was obviously the family-owned businesses. They were akin to lions, the king of the jungle. They largely dominated the corporate scenario with their power and strength, and their positions were rarely questioned. At that time, succession planning was almost never up for discussion, and kith and kin triumphed over merit. The second category of boards were the public sector enterprises, who were like elephants. They were large, they were slow, and only obeyed orders of one master, the government. The third were the boards of multinational corporations that operated in India. They were like thoroughbred horses who appeared sophisticated and trained, but in reality could do nothing much without strict instructions from the jockey. All instructions came from the head office, but each function operated in silos. Rarely do you see multinational corporations have strategies that revolved around the country nuances. It was always instructions from abroad. The last category comprised of the private sector, companies that were not family owned or did not have a dominant promoter. These companies were like tigers, given that there were very few in examples and existent at this time. They definitely were in the category of endangered species. But today, most of these four animals, like characteristics in Indian corporate world, no longer hold good. Number of Indian companies have consciously implemented world-class governance practices. Many large family-owned businesses and small family-owned businesses have boards that are inclusive, that are diverse, that focus on sustainability and philanthropy. They actively seek out independent professional directors, be it from India or from overseas. They want governance structures that are best in class, and many of them have strong ambitions to create a global footprint. Today, some of the government-owned enterprises compete as efficiently as many in the private sector. Almost every large MNC wants a slice of the Indian story, recognizes our country's growth potential. Entrepreneurship in India has exploded because of the conducive startup environment in the country. We have the third largest number of startups after US and China. Many say Indian startups are the new age family businesses in the marketplace. I would be remiss if I did not say a few words on the current macro situation, because it is so linked with business. In the recent period, geopolitics has dominated over geoeconomics, with spillover impacts on trade, services, technology, capital flows, and even in the mobility of labor force. There is immense distrust amongst countries at a time we need maximum cooperation to solve pressing issues like global supply chains, global warming, cyber threats, money laundering, data privacy, responsible use of artificial intelligence, and many, many other things. The other critical global issue for much of the Western world has been the sudden change from years of quantitative easing and negative interest rates to sharp rise in interest rates to combat inflation. This was the result some of the US banks are going under, because suddenly from zero, their interest rates have gone up significantly. This has also resulted in cost of living crisis in some of the Western economies. In India, based on recent announcement, we are lucky to have finally got a pause in the rising interest rate cycle. We are not immune to global shocks, but we are proving to be much more resilient than many large economies. For sure, India's GDP growth will slow down because of global headwinds. But India has enough tailwinds with political stability, vaccine stability, food security, a robust domestic consumption market. We have leapfrogged digitization initiatives. Our regulatory system of the financial sector is very solid and robust. As for startups, many investors still have plenty of dry powder for good, innovative ideas. But the days of cash burn and the days of high valuations are certainly behind us. I'm conscious of the time allotted to me, but permit me to offer an old man's advice on family businesses. One advice. While one hopes families stay amicable, the one thing you must desist is families going to court and suing and counter-suing each other. Court cases in India, as you all know, take years and years and years. Wealth gets depleted, and the same problems gets passed down to next generations. Always opt for a settlement. Always opt for some arbitrator, a person mutually acceptable and trusted by both the parties. And sign an affidavit that neither party will go to court after the arbitrator's decision. This, I promise, will help you all to sleep well at night. On a positive note, let me end by saying there can be nothing more exciting than being young in India today and being able to capitalize on opportunities unfolding in our country and unfolding in the entrepreneurship side. Thank you, Tulsi, for inviting me here today, and have a successful Silver Jubilee.